Hi guys, welcome back to the Learn to Live podcast. I'm your host Amelia, and for today's episode we have a couple guests.
Hi, I'm Riya.
Hi, I'm Katie.
And today we're going to be talking about leaving school, going to university, apprenticeships. We finished year 13 almost a year ago. I'm studying English at the Open University, which I started in October, so that is around the time that most normal universities started. But my course is all completely online distance learning, which is obviously different to the traditional university.
I'm doing normal university, which wasn't my actual route that I wanted to go down, but I'm studying journalism and I started in September and I live out for that, which is kind of fun.
I am doing a business administration apprenticeship. Apprenticeship was always my plan, but not business administration, but I'm glad I've gone down it. I did look at university, but I didn't really think it was my cup of tea, and I started that in August last year.
So for me, I wanted to do an apprenticeship, but I mean at this point I wanted to do editing, like for film and TV, and then over lockdown I had a complete change of heart and wanted to get into writing for film and TV. And then when we were in lockdown I was starting to look at, apprenticeships and stuff for that, not specifically for film and TV but for writing in general, but I just didn't find that many. And because I'm limited in like where I could go as well, like a lot of it is in London and like in the city of London, which I knew just wasn't going to be realistic for me. And then I think it was in probably around October time of year 13 I started looking at university as like more of a viable option. I looked at a few universities. One of them was Portsmouth Uni, so it was a little bit away from where I live, so obviously I would have to like travel down there. And then I looked at one closer to home, and then we had to go back into lockdown again, so I didn't actually go to visit any universities. But not being able to go and look at universities and go and look around the campus, or whether it was not a campus uni, and like go and look around like accommodation and stuff, had a massive like effect on where I wanted to go, because I needed to go and physically be there myself and see if it's a place that is suitable for me to get around in a wheelchair, and then also just has good links to the actual university site as well. In the end, I decided actually I don't think that is going to work for me, because we could only do like online tours and stuff like that, and there was just so many requirements that I would have had to have really been there for to realise, is this a good place for me for many reasons. In the end, I ended up looking at the Open University, which just made a lot more sense to me. One, because it's so much more flexible, which is like the whole point of it, is to be more flexible. And then after that I was looking into it more, and I was thinking actually it's going to be more flexible, so it'll be easier for me to work around, my body in general, but also, I could go and do like other things on the side, because I don't really have much work experience for whatever reason, so I could do that alongside university at the same time. So that is why I decided to do that.
I originally wanted to do an apprenticeship in film and TV, but I didn't get any of the apprenticeships, or even journalism. I didn't get any of the apprenticeships I wanted to do, so I went to the university side, which I'm glad I actually applied for, because I wouldn't have had a chance if I didn't. I didn't really look as much online for the pausing or anything. I kind of just winged it and went, okay, I'm going to go for this one, this one, and this one. And I applied for like 5 different ones, and I got into all of them, but I ended up going for the University of East London, because I just like the course better there, and I had to look at my GCSE grades as well, which weren't the best. So I had to go with what I had, and yeah, I kind of enjoy what I do there though, because it's fun, and I'm kind of glad I winged it in that sense, because if I hadn't, I wouldn't be where I am now and enjoying it, or doing the course that I like in the way it's structured. But yeah, that's why I kind of stuck to that route.
So I went down the apprenticeship route. I was never opting for uni. I didn't even apply to it, which was actually a really bad idea. Because of COVID, there was little apprenticeships out there, and then it got to a point in summer where I hadn't got any offers. Like, there were limited jobs out there for me to apply for, and I was getting very, very stressed, because it looked like I was going to be working in Sainsbury's at this point. So eventually I did get one, and it wasn't the route that I was opting to go down. I was more thinking something like marketing, but now I'm in admin. I'm glad that I've chosen it, and I'm in a solid company where I can go into whatever department I want to go into. I am on level 3, which is what I was doing at sixth form, but I can move up and do MVQs and level 4 and all of that if I want to. But once you're in this company, like, you're in it for good. So I'm glad I opted down this route. I don't think university would have been for me. I'm not really a social butterfly as such, and I was never good in the school system. And I think I work better in a professional environment. So I do 4 days a week of general work, and then I have 1 day a week set to do my like coursework, which is really great that you have time out of your week to actually sit and do this work. And it's very similar to being at college. A lot of apprenticeships you do actually have to attend college, but because of COVID again, we're still like on Teams, but you can manage your own education this way and do it as and when you want, which I think is really great for me because I don't like being controlled to when I can and can't do things.
One thing I did want to talk about, and I'm going to go into it now just because you did bring it up, but university, for the social side of things, you were saying you don't think it would have suited you for like that particularly. I completely agree because you and me are quite similar in that way. But I know when I was speaking to staff members about my decision to go to an online university, obviously when they started like talking to us about it, I did say, you know, I was going to opt for the more traditional uni route. And then once I said, actually, I'm not doing that, I'm doing online uni, they were a bit apprehensive about that decision. And obviously, you know, a lot of people just like, yeah, uni is the more conventional route. But I know for me, like, sometimes I do get a bit of FOMO when I see people, like, out at university. Yeah. Like, they're out, you know, they seem to have a lot of friends. I'm going to say seem because, you know, we all know not everything on social media is real.
We really, really don't.
But, like, I know for me, like, personally, I don't have many close friends. I have, like, a few, you two included, obviously, close friends, most of which I don't see, like, very often like I would like before at school. So that was like a big change for me, was going from seeing people 3-4 days a week to then not once a week to some people, and then obviously like a while for other people as well.
I think sometimes the university life, like obviously I don't have a solid like thing to back this point up because I don't go to university, but like I sometimes feel like the uni life is glamorized on social media. Like, yeah, we're going out all the time. I've got all these friends. I'm hanging out with all these people. I have such a fun life. But they don't show, like, Riya, you can add on to this in a minute. But, like, you obviously don't show, like, I'm sure there's financial struggles at uni. There's the loneliness. There's the having to do everything for yourself. There's balancing your course, because I'm sure a lot of uni students have their course, a social life, and then they've also got to balance a job so they can afford to live. And I think it's quite a lot to handle, which is why I opted for the apprenticeship route, because I have the finance coming in, like I have money coming in because I'm earning, but I'm also learning at the same time, but I still have time for the social life, so that's why I opted for that pathway.
I mean, I'll back what Katie said because it is true. From most of like my uni life that I have had so far, between September and March, I'd say, I didn't have a job. I was very much relying on my parents and my student finance for money and like my birthday money and all that I get. So it is very much relying on your parents and actually getting a job, which isn't that easy because it's like you have to be flexible with your uni time and everything like that. And on top of that, it is really glamorized, because I know for a fact I post more of me going out than I do of me studying, because I don't actually know when I study, to be honest. Because most of the time we're in our lectures, but we're on our phones, we're not actually listening to anything, or we're not actually attending our lectures. So it is really glamorized on the fact that we go out, we drink, and we show people what we want them to see and think, okay, yeah, let's go to uni. But really, you show the uni life, not the university life. They're two very different things in that sense. But yeah, you don't see the other side of everything.
Sometimes I think it's a lot of money to spend, like, because a lot of people will literally just go to uni for the party life, and they don't take their course seriously. And I think that's a lot of money to be spending on something that you're not going to take seriously, or they opt for a course that they don't actually want to do, and then a year in they're like, actually no, like I don't want to do it anymore. I know you've only done a year, but that's still like what, $9,000 that you have to pay back one day.
And that's your student finance.
Yeah, I just think it's something like you shouldn't do unless you are really positive. Like, it shouldn't be an impulsive decision like, oh, I didn't get the apprenticeship I wanted, let's just whip over to uni quickly, because it's a big thing to like commit yourself to.
Yeah, because I know a lot of people that are in their first year like me, and don't actually like their course and they want to like drop out or they want to move course or something, and that's only like now.
Yeah.
And I know loads of people that had dropped out last year and gone back to uni this year, and it's like, you've already got that money to pay back, why add more to that?
Yeah, because you have an extra year.
Yeah.
I don't think people think about the money side of it.
No one really does.
And then one day you're gonna get the letter.
Yeah.
You're gonna be like,
I'm
oh my gosh.
dreading that day. I'm actually dreading that day.
Because I feel like a lot of the reason why I wanted to go to university, one, obviously the fact that I couldn't find apprenticeships in what I wanted was a factor, but two, the pressure from not even really the other students and my peers, but from teachers, and not like all my teachers, but like
Majority.
quite a few of them was like, yeah, like, you should go to university at least for the experience. And I'm just like, what, 50k in debt is a lot for me to go into.
But on top of that, you also
For
have to
the
think about
experience.
your physical.
Yeah,
as
exactly. I struggled with school my entire life, so I just knew that going to university was not the best option because I did part-time school for the past
On top
3
of that,
years.
Don't forget, you'd have where your social life wouldn't be the same as everyone else's.
Yeah, and I'm not being funny. I don't want to go out clubbing. I don't really drink anymore. I don't go clubbing. I have no interest in going clubbing. And at night, like, I like to have my relaxing time to
And you
myself.
wouldn't have that if you were in uni
yeah.
I
halls.
wouldn't. And I feel like as well, like, I mean, Ria, you might know about this, but I'm someone who I have to go to sleep at a certain time.
Yeah.
And if I'm in uni halls, I just feel like that would be, like,
You would
disrupted a lot. And if there's other noise, I literally cannot fall
Yeah,
asleep.
because I sleep at least if I'm at uni, I sleep at least like 3 o'clock. But if I sleep earlier, I have all my flatmates either in the kitchen, because my bedroom's next to the kitchen. So I have all of them in the kitchen, or like the bedroom doors slamming every like 5 minutes if I try and sleep early because I have uni in the morning, or because I'm just tired and I don't feel well. I'll have like door slamming or something. And to be fair, I've gotten used to that because obviously you've got the train that going past my bedroom, and you have the aeroplanes that land and fly off.
Yeah.
So you get used to that. But it's like, I think that's because in my sense, I can get used to that because my sleep schedule is so messed up anyways. I feel like,
I know I massively would have struggled with balancing everything, because even now sometimes I struggle to balance it, and I do part-time and online, so sometimes like I am in my bed doing uni. I do have like forums and stuff for uni and like associations. We do have a few, don't really use them,
same.
but like I definitely would have liked to have them more like a solid friendship group for uni, because I know a lot of people have like their uni friends and then like
I
their
do,
home
yeah.
friends, if that makes sense. Whereas obviously like I don't really have that, but that's not something that I really would want to sacrifice. Like, it's something I'm willing to sacrifice to not have to pay the price of falling massively behind on uni, having a terrible sleep schedule, and just overall making my general health like worse. Because since leaving school, I've managed to like do my physiotherapy as much, well, nearly as much as I should be doing.
Yeah.
I've managed to get better grips and manage it better.
You've had the time to kind of wrap your head around
Yeah.
what you can and can't do.
Yeah.
Whereas before, like, you were kind of just forcing yourself to do things because you had to be there.
Yeah.
So you've had the time to do that.
100%.
Obviously, one of the biggest misconceptions with apprenticeships is that you will have no social life, which I can vouch for and say that is not true. There are plenty of, like, apprenticeship ambassadors for, like, not going to uni who are quite big on social media, and you can see that they have, like, a really good social life, but you have to remember you are not the only apprentice in that company. Obviously, if you opt for a smaller company, you do run that risk that you are the only person, but the age gap between everyone really doesn't affect you as such. Like, so in my team personally, there's one other apprentice who I do get along with quite well, and then all the other members of my team, like my colleagues, are much older than me, but I still get along with them well. We have like monthly socials with work, so that's a nice way to go out, but you also do still have your weekends and your evenings. It's not really any different to being at school. Yeah, you're 9 till 5, whereas school is more like 9 till 3. But you have that social life, and especially because I work from home and I'm in a flexible working environment, I can start and finish work as and when I please. So, like, I can go and see my friends after work or on my lunch break or at the weekend. It's not a case of you work 9 to 5, 5 days a week, and that is it. Like, there is plenty of room for you to be seeing your friends, and a perk of it is like you are obviously earning money, so you have the time, and annual leave is still a thing. Like, you're not confined to working every day. Like, you can book time off if you want to do something. It's really not as bad as you think it is. You have to remember, like, your parents still work and you still spend time with them. They still go out with people like friends and family. It's not as bad as the world makes it out to be. And you're also getting a qualification and earning money, and you can stay within that company, providing you like it, of course, for as long as you please. I think it's a really great pathway to go down.
But I'd say joining societies, you don't actually have to, because everyone's like, yeah, join this, join that, but you don't have to. It's more like, if you want to do it, just
do what you feel comfortable doing.
Yeah.
When it comes to uni.
Not what everyone tells you to, or what everyone thinks you should do. I think I only joined them because my cousins all told me to join societies, because you will meet nice people, but I've never attended an actual meeting or anything, so I can't say.
Because I feel like sometimes, like, I'll be looking at people, like you said, the whole, like, social life thing is, like, a massive thing that everyone talks about with uni.
That's what they all really say.
That's what, like, most people say, oh yeah, like, have a brilliant, like, social life because of uni.
That's what they sell on.
That is massive thing that they sell on, and that was one thing that massively, that when we would talk to about uni, they were just like, yeah, you should go for the experience because, you know, you'll never be this young again and you'll never get to relive university.
I also know loads of people that are in hospital because of that.
Yeah, like...
But you can live that life outside of university. Like,
exactly.
I could go out clubbing every evening if I wanted to, or at the weekends.
And you won't have a financial issue either.
Yeah,
you don't have to be at university to do it.
I'm confined to, like, I can't do it because I'm not at uni. Like, if I want to go clubbing, I can go clubbing. There's just that, there's not as many people around me to go out with.
With the uni one, it's you could be as stupid or as silly as you want to.
Because you're not going home to your parents.
Yeah.
You're going home to your friends. But I think that can actually get you in a lot of trouble.
It really can.
If you are incredibly intoxicated and you are around a bunch of people also the same way, or a bit of bad influence, you can get yourself in some pretty bad states.
And if you don't trust them or they don't have the same care for you,
it
can end really badly. I think in that sense, I'm lucky because my flatmate, because she's older than me, if she could be completely off her face, and so could I, but she will still sober up if I'm in trouble or if I'm uncomfortable. She'll sober up in 0.1 second just to make sure I'm okay, because there's been so many situations that I've been uncomfortable or something's happened and she's had to sober up just to make sure I'm okay.
Yeah.
Or like even hospital situations that you both know of. She said to everyone there, make sure I'm okay, even though, like, with me, it's like a mother instinct or a big sister instinct for her.
Yeah.
And for her, it's because I'm younger than her. She thinks she has to take care of me. So I think it's just depending on who you surround yourself with, how much you spend time and trust them.
Because that is what I imagine to be a big part of it. Because obviously, in uni, you have some sort of roommate, whether it's a flatmate or whether you're in, I don't know what it's called, but it's uni housing, but, like, it's the private, not the private, what is it?
You've got halls and you've got housing.
Housing, yeah. Obviously, either way, you're most likely, for most people, not going to be living alone. And obviously, you're not really going to know, at least for the first year, you're not going to know who you're with until you're with them.
Yeah.
And I just know for me that would have been, like, a massive, like, anxiety-inducing experience for me, is not knowing who I'm with. And I just would have found that very overwhelming. I still live at home, like, with my mum, who is technically my carer, and I know if I moved out of university, I would have had to have figured out, one, what do I need help with again, because at the moment it's just, oh, mum, can you help me do this, like, like, it's an automatic response, whereas, like, moving out to university, I would have had to have, like, oh, okay, actually I need help doing this, and then find someone for it, and then pay for someone to do it as well. And thing is as well, there's been, like, multiple times where, like, some things happen during the night, having to think, oh, well, what if this happens and I need someone to come and help me? You know, I can't just, like, if I'm, like, sitting there, like, all dizzy and, like, my heart is going mad, and then my bedroom door's locked, no one can do anything about it because I wouldn't be able to get up to do anything about it. Because I know so many people, like, just because you're in university doesn't mean you can't go to university. Me, for my personal circumstances, I just knew that a traditional university wasn't going to work for me based on my previous experience.
A lot of it's the anxiety, because it 100% could have worked, but it was more the thought of, what if I go and it doesn't work, and then I've paid $9,000 for this, I've taken out a student loan, like, it's a lot to, like,
it would have been a big struggle as well, balancing everything that I would have had to have done, along with, like, uni, it would have been both a massive like trigger for anxiety, but
Same,
also
that as
like
well.
it's just difficult to do in general. And I didn't want to like go and then hate it and then come home, because I know that just would have made me feel like so shit mentally.
So my friendships, I wouldn't say have changed drastically. Like, I know a lot of people at school, like, you kind of have those friendships where you're friends at school, but you kind of know once you leave, like, it's gonna die out. So I've kept, like, I'm still friends with a fair few people from school. One of my friends, he works, like, full-time, and we do make an effort to kind of see each other every now and then, or, like, have a little FaceTime once a week, but we both understand that life is busy and we can't always talk to each other. And I feel like once you leave school, you kind of understand that people have their own priorities and you can't speak. But like, obviously I still see Amelia all the time. I see Riya when she's back from uni. Like, when my friends are back from uni, I make an effort to see them. But I don't feel like my friendships and relationships have changed with the people that are still at home. Like, I still see them at the weekends. I can see them after work. Like, it's not that difficult. The biggest thing would probably be like my friends moving away, because I've got a friend who like lives a 1 minute walk from me, who I would spend every minute of my life with, and then when she goes for like 3 or 4 months, it's like, oh my god, what do I do? But you get used to it, and it's nice when they come back. It feels like the friendships kind of reforming again. Like, it's really nice to spend time with them. So as bad as it sounds, I quite like being at home while my friends are away, because it's really exciting when they come back. Like, it's something to look forward to.
Yeah, I completely agree with Katie says, to be fair, because where I don't live at home or near any of my friends, I feel like a lot of my friendships that I did have in school have either become stronger or they've just gone. And the ones that have gone, I kind of knew they weren't really going to be there anymore, because it was just one of those where it's like, you had a feeling that you were just there because you were there. Whereas, like, obviously with Katie and Amelia and then Ben as well, it is very much like we talk quite regularly, and when I am coming home, I'll text on our group chat saying, oh, I'm coming home, or we should do this, because I'm going to be home for a couple days, or like in this case a month. So we do make sure we see each other and everything. But I think a lot of my friendships, I very much knew that they were either gonna, I knew which ones I was good that were gonna still be there and which ones weren't gonna be there. Like, it was very obvious. And it's like, one of my friends, a lot of my friends that I've known since I was really little, I've barely seen them since I've come back. And it's okay, it's just own circumstances. But it is like just having that balance of seeing them and not seeing them. But obviously when I come back, I will see a lot of people a lot more.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is obviously, like Katie and both of you mentioned, is balance it, but obviously as well, like, understanding, everyone does have their own priorities. Just because, they haven't messaged back to your message within, like a few hours, doesn't mean, I don't like you, like, don't talk to me. Everyone, one, you're actually not going to know what is actually going on with that person unless they're telling you. But obviously if you're away, like university, it's not like, oh yeah, we can just like talk constantly throughout the day, which is not something that, everyone wants either. Like, personally, like, I have like designated times where I will talk to people, or I'll talk to them. Like Katie, like, I'll message you like throughout the day when I like take breaks from between doing work or whatever, whereas Riya, like, won't talk like every single day.
We'll message every now and then,
and then every now and then we'll like talk, or like we'll comment on each other's like private stories and stuff like that. But I feel like the biggest thing is when you're at school, you kind of have those, as in like college school, you kind of have those friends who you're friends with because they're there and you see them. They're not necessarily someone that you see outside of that.
Yeah.
And I feel like that those are the friendships that, they're not necessarily the saddest to see to go in the nicest way possible, if that makes sense. Like,
it's just circumstances, like what's meant to be will be. Like, if friendships fizzle out, it's not that there's like bad blood between you, but you have different priorities and you're doing different things, and sometimes people aren't understanding other people's priorities, then the friendships are bound to fizzle out. But it doesn't mean that if you saw them on the street you wouldn't say hello to them. It's just I'm not going to take time out of my day to phone you or something, because sometimes you just don't need to do that with friendships.
Yeah, I agree. The biggest thing that I thought, like, I think I was more scared about how I was gonna fit and seeing everyone in, if that makes sense. Like, one of my friends I haven't seen since summer of year 11, and we were like best friends for a good few years as well. and we don't talk like often, but like every now and then we'll have a phone call and like catch up properly. And then as well, like obviously when you go to uni and like Shreya and stuff like that, I don't see you massively often, but it doesn't actually affect our friendship, if that makes
No,
sense.
because when we come back, we have so
It's
much
the
to
same.
talk about.
Yeah, like we
And,
know
like,
it's no.
yeah.
Do I
It's
want to
not
see
like-
her? It's not like that.
You don't come back as a different person. But my biggest fear was loneliness, because I genuinely believed I'd be so lonely because of COVID. Like, the majority of offices are still a work from home, and because my company is like a flexible working company, like I can work from home. I work from home 4 out of the 5 days a week, and I just thought being stuck behind like the same 4 walls every day, speaking to the same people on Teams, like I must admit I do get bored, I do get lonely sometimes, but it's also nice that when I do want some alone time, like I can take that time. But it's sometimes just a bit like at uni you've always got people around you, but then that's not always a good thing.
That's not actually, because either you have someone always around you, but then you want your alone time too.
It's because you can't really get that
Yeah.
because they're walking up and down the hall.
But then, even then, sometimes you have no one there when you want someone there.
Yeah.
And it's like, what do I do? Like, because obviously you can't always call your friends at home, or you can't always call someone that you know, or like even that lives in your accommodation, like on a different floor or something, because they could be busy.
Yeah.
It's like, it's hard to like actually find someone to talk to sometimes, especially when like you know someone's busy, or like for a fact you know someone's busy, or like, or you don't know what someone's schedule is.
Yeah.
It's hard to like know what someone's schedule is. Like, yeah.
I think both pathways, like, well, all 3 pathways are like equally as lonely, but also you can have a social life. It just depends, like, on
You
how
just-
you want to handle it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you've got to be, sometimes, you know, you've got to be a little bit more creative to get around it. And I think as well, one big thing for me was the distance between everyone. Because
Yeah.
obviously,
Live
like,
quite far apart.
we live far
'Cause
apart.
I used to live up the road
Yeah,
from you.
me and Ria used to live
And
like
now it-
5 minutes away.
And now I live on the other side of London.
And now we just live like, between all of us, there's
Oh.
probably about 40 minutes distance at least by car, give or
No.
take a little bit more for
About
you.
An hour and 45 from me.
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
75
Obviously,
miles.
quite a big
It's
distance
not-
between all of
yeah.
us.
I mean, it's quite easy for me and Amelia, like, of an evening, sometimes, like, I'll message her and be like, oh, I'll drive up to you and we'll go get, like, McFlurries or something, and we'll just sit in the car for hours and talk, and, like, it's nice to actually go out and not speak to someone, like, through a screen. Because of my job role, I'm constantly speaking to people through screens, and I can't lie to you, it is actually weird when I meet these people face to face, because I'm like, you're actually a real human, like, you're not just a name on Outlook or Teams, like, it's really odd. So it's nice that, like, we can go out and see each other, but then we're not 2 minutes, like, down the road from each other, and I'm so used to having a friend, like, right down the road that I can just pop by and see. So, like, it is really odd, like, adapting to it, and I know I'm going to struggle when everyone goes back to uni after Easter.
And even summer.
Yeah, like, I know for
Summer.
a fact I'm going to struggle, because Erin's been home for, like, a week now, and I've been with her every single day,
Yeah,
and the
'cause
second she's gone, I'm going to be like, oh my god,
Summer's between basically June and September, and that's like
it's
4
a
months.
really long time.
Yeah.
That's 4 months, so that's a...
Because I change my working hours for my friends' home, so at the moment I'm doing, like, 7 till 3 or 8 till 4, whereas normally I'm doing, like, 9:30, 5:30, like, I adapt it to where my friends are and, like, what I'm doing, so I can have a social life alongside work, which is a massive, like, pro, but I know not every apprenticeship offers that, like, opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's kind of like what I do at the moment. Like, my other, like, close friends that I see, she is only, like, 5 minutes away from me. But obviously, again, we both have our priorities, as well. She has a daughter, so obviously that I can't just be like, right, I'm coming over, let's go out.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I have to think, okay, well, let's organise. Just one of those friends, I feel like everyone has a friend that you organise a time to see with, and then you
Yeah.
have another friend, and it's all just, like,
'Cause we're quite
spontaneous.
impulsive, like, I will just message you and say, I'm driving here, like, can we go get a McFlurry or something? Like,
Yeah, or let's go
then-
pop to the range.
yeah, like, but we also do organise things to do. But I, like, frequently will just message a friend of an evening and say, do you want to go on a drive? And it's just nice to get out the house and speak to someone, rather than, like, being sat in my room all day, because it gets so boring being sat behind the same four walls doing the same thing 5 days a week. Like, it gets bad sometimes.
It gets like that when I'm home as well.
Especially in winter, I felt like I really struggled in winter with, like, what they call, like, the winter blues.
Yeah.
Like, I would just feel so low because I'm just doing the same thing all the time. But, like, summer is nice. Like, you can go on walks, you can go on drives, like, and people are home. I feel like a lot of people are home for, like, the next 6-7 months. Like, it's on and off with people.
I feel like the nice thing is what we do, a lot of it is more flexible. Obviously, when you have like meetings and like for me lectures and stuff, like they're usually like a set time.
Yeah.
But a lot of the stuff, like you said, you kind of adapt to when you go out and do things, and that is a nice thing because like I can be like, right, okay, well I'll sit down and do work on this day, and then like if I know that I've got plans to go and see someone, like usually for me the day where I see someone the most is either Wednesday or a Friday.
Your lectures are quite consistent as well, so like I know like Saturday mornings typically I can't see you, so if we do something on a Saturday we tend to opt for like more like the afternoon to meet. So, like, I'm used to when you are and aren't in lectures. Like I feel like over time everyone adapts to their friends' schedules.
I think thing is once you leave school there's so much adapting you have to do, whether it's because you know you're starting a full-time job or a part-time job, or you're going to university and you're moving away from like your family home for the first time.
Everything changes. I don't think anything really stays the same. Because like even though I'm at home, a lot has changed.
Yeah, so much has changed, and I feel like obviously there's things that happen in your life. Obviously, like the milestones, like if you want to get a driving license, that's going to make a big difference. You know, moving out, if you do move out, whether that's to uni or like just moving out in general, again, big difference. Getting a job, big difference. And there are things that you know you can't avoid. And they're going to happen at some point. I feel like some people avoid those things on purpose because they don't want things to change, if that makes sense.
I sometimes feel like I'm older than I am in a sense, because obviously like a lot of my friends are at uni and they're, you know, you've got, what, three years?
Yeah, 3 years.
And you're kind of just in that situation and
you're in that bubble for a really long time.
3 years. And I'm sure when you get to the end of it, it's quite scary. But right now I'm like, right, I'm working full time, like, I feel more like an adult, and then I've got the stress of, oh, I've got these bills to pay, like, I need to save to move out, I need to, like, save deposits for cars, like, and all of that, and it's quite stressful, whereas I feel like a lot of people my age, like, don't have the stress that I have. Like, I'm lucky I'm in a family, like, that will support me in those situations, but it's also, like, I feel like I need to be on the same level as the people I spend my time with a lot, which are, like, 50-plus-year-old adults with kids and grandkids and, like, mortgages, and I'm sat there like, oh my god, like it's
kind of hard to find people you relate to in that situation, isn't it?
It is really difficult because there's not really anyone, like I don't spend a lot of time with the other apprentices, which is why like I've kind of tried to make links with other apprentices and speak to them about their lives, because I feel like an 18-year-old shouldn't be stressed about getting house deposits and car deposits and all of that. Like, it's nice that I'm in the position to be able to do those things and have these nice things, but it's also like I'm a kid. Like, I don't want to be thinking about that. I want to be out clubbing at the weekend and, like, turning up an hour late to my lecture, like, hungover. Like, that's what I want to be doing.
Yeah. I feel like I was saying this the other day to you when we were trying to figure out, like, a time to see each other.
Yeah.
And at that point, I had quite a few busy, like, few weeks where I had like appointments, and then I had like a concert, and then like my grandparents came up from Devon to visit, so obviously, you know, I need to make that effort to see them because I don't see that set of grandparents very often. And then as well, like my family, I have like, obviously everyone has two sides to the family, but then one side of the family I have a whole nother side to the family, so like it's difficult like trying to arrange, you know, right, I need to go and see like that side of the family here, and obviously like people have work and school and stuff, so I have to like fit that around them. And that's one thing that I like I'm quite flexible, so you know I can do it. And as well, because you know I can drive and I do have a car, I can also, it's easier to get to people, if that makes sense.
That's a massive advantage. Like, so I started driving in December, so I've been doing my apprenticeship for like 4 months, and I think those 4 months where all my friends were away and I couldn't drive were really lonely, because also it was a winter month, so I couldn't just go on a walk after work because it was pitch black, and I don't really feel safe doing that. But now, like, I can drive. Like, I've met up with a lot of friends that I didn't see before, because I can be out till 10, 11 o'clock at night. Like, and if I'm back late, that's on my own shoulders. Like, I've got to deal with that the next morning and be up on time for work. But, like, I can do those things now. So I think, like, driving as weird as it sounds, like massively helps your mental health because you can get out the house. Even if you're inside a car, like I'm outside of my bedroom, I'm seeing people.
It's
like,
different scenery, isn't it?
It really helps because I can just like I can drive up to you of an evening, whereas before like I wouldn't get on a train at 8-9 o'clock at night because it's not ideal. It's not safe.
Yeah.
Like it's just so much better.
I feel like as well for me, getting my driver's license was a massive like step to becoming more independent, because before, like, my mum would literally have to drive me literally everywhere.
We never met up before you could drive.
I think
your mum
we
always take us after school.
Yeah, like my mum would like pick us up from school and like drop us off, which, you know, made me feel bad for my mum because she had to like always be there
she's got other kids
to support my plans, but she also has 3 other children to look after as well. But obviously, like Katie was saying, now that I have my license, I can, you know, we can just decide to go like on a drive or like go down to McDonald's or the Range or whatever and just go and have like a look around, which is nice because at times like we usually do it in the evenings, so it's not as busy, there's not as many people around, and as well like it's nice to get out and away from that, and having more independence has been a massive like factor in like feeling.
I think it's helped you
better.
Understand your like your disability better as well. Like,
yeah,
because you know what you can and can't do. But like even the driving thing like helps of an evening. Like I know where I've had bad days or like I've just really wanted to get out the house because, as most households probably have it, everyone's just bickering and it's all getting a bit much. And I just want to go out. Like I can just drop a message to like I've got like 2-3 friends that don't go to uni that I can go and see regularly, and I can just drop the message and say, do you want to go get a drink somewhere? Like, and it's just nice that I can do that of an evening, whether it's summer or winter, and like I can see Amelia more now, because before driving I don't think we ever met up. Like it was school.
We met up like 3 times and they were all like during the summer.
Yeah, whereas now like we make an effort to see each other
at least
weekly, if not fortnightly.
It's usually like twice a month most of the time.
But we see each other a lot and we call like a few times a week. Like you just kind of learn to adapt to everybody's lifestyles. I feel like.
And I feel like as well, once you finish school, you then have like the whole summer, and then after that is kind of when it hit me, when everyone started going off to university.
It's
and everyone.
It's a really scary time.
It is.
Seeing everybody, like, it sounds so silly, but like snap maps, and you're seeing everyone move away. And you're like, oh my gosh.
Mine
like,
is so weird because it's like all my friends are in like one little cluster, and then you've got me all the way by an airport, and I'm just like, oh my god.
It's just quite scary, like seeing everyone move away, because like I spent a lot of summer with my friends, and I'm like, where are you going? Like, what am I gonna do now? Like, especially like the friends that live so nearby. I'm like, what do I do? Because the people that live right next to you, and then suddenly they're a 4-hour drive, where it's like I can't just go and see you of an evening. And it's really odd because I spent pretty much every day in the summer with my friend Erin, and then like suddenly she lived 4 hours away, and I wasn't gonna see her for 3 months, and I was like, oh my god. Like,
it doesn't hit you until it's happened.
It's really difficult, but then when they're back, it's so weird. Like, so she got back last week. I literally hadn't seen her since December, but I just acted like nothing happened. But now she's back. Like, it's really nice to have that person there.
Yeah. I feel like one thing that's helped me massively is I live in a house with 4 other people. Sometimes there's, 5 people here.
Yeah.
And I'm quite close with all my siblings, but my older sister especially, I will literally just go and walk into her room and sit on her bed and literally just sit there and like stare at the ceiling, or just like talk to her,
it's
or just
nice
like watch
to have
TV.
Someone to talk to in your household. But I don't feel like I have that, so I need to go out, because me and my brother just bicker.
Yeah.
Like, I can have a nice conversation with my mum, but obviously she's got other things to be doing, and sometimes I do just want to speak to someone my own age, and like being over the phone isn't always amazing, because obviously like you have Daisy in your room, so like there's a lot of, sometimes we struggle to actually have a consistent conversation.
It's the distraction as well.
It's
and then
nice.
obviously like we always FaceTime as well, or some sort of video call. Obviously
And then you've got the
many
Wi-Fi.
times the Wi-Fi is acting up, or like it's just buffering or whatever.
But that's the nice thing, like with, as bad as it sounds, like COVID was a blessing in a way, because we all got used to seeing each other virtually. So I feel like when we all moved away,
it made it a bit easier because we were a bit more prepared for it.
Like, I don't mind speaking to people over FaceTime. Like, it feels like I'm seeing them face to face.
I feel like if we didn't have how COVID was, and how we all had to like FaceTime and everything, there was no chance we would have survived.
We would have all been in different circumstances. I mean, you two probably both would have been in apprenticeships, because obviously you did kind of want that route, but there really wasn't many out there.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't be where I am now, because I never had any intentions of going into admin. I'm glad I did, but it was never an intention. And like, I don't think my lifestyle would have been as flexible as it was, because I would have been in the office 9 to 5, 5 days a week. Like, that was that. Whereas now, like, because I'm home, I can do what I want. Like, if I want to have a shower, fake tan, paint my nails, do a full face of makeup while sending off invoices, I can.
Yeah.
And that is like the perks of COVID. Doesn't always help when you're in the shower and someone calls you though. I've had that a few times.
I feel like when we had to start deciding what we wanted to do, obviously everyone says, you know, when you pick your GCSE options, as it is in like most secondary schools, you kind of had to have an idea of what career you want to go into. So you had to prepare for that.
I had an idea and then I changed.
And at that point, you know, you're what, 12, 13?
Yeah.
And I'm just
so
like,
mad.
that decision that you make then...
13, 14.
Okay, 13, 14. Between the ages of 13 and 14.
Something like that.
Something like that. Give or take
Early
a few
teens.
years. Early teens. You have so much pressure on you to make a potentially massive
Life-changing
decision
yeah.
for your life. And even like when we were picking university, obviously a lot of people pick university by the course they want to do.
And the grade and like
And the
ranking.
grade- Yeah.
I think we were confined as much as like the school we went to, like, there was definitely its faults, but it was also a really good opportunity, like where we went and what we did. But I felt like we were confined to media. Like, I'd say I did about 4 or 5 job interviews for apprenticeships. I think maybe only one of them was in media, and I really struggled to kind of speak about things because I had been in this bubble of media for 4 years, and I wasn't going into a media job role. And it was like, yes, I had some experience like dealing with clients and all of that, but like, I felt like my little part-time job actually gave me more experience than being at media school. Like, I honestly think if you are not 100% confident that you're going to go into media, don't go to that school,
Just
basically.
Stay in and go to a normal school. Don't go to a specialist school if you're not planning on 100% going to a specific career route.
Like, I managed to weave my way out of it and like kind of speak about the right things in interviews, but I don't know anything about business. Like, I haven't got a clue what I'm doing half the time. I hope my manager doesn't hear this. I don't have a clue what I'm doing half the time because I've been in this bubble of Premiere Pro and Adobe Audition for so long. I'm like, oh my gosh, but I enjoyed it as a hobby, don't get me wrong, but it's something I could never do as a career because I don't feel like I'm creative enough.
I feel like they made us think it was our career options, and there was so many other so many opportunities out there for us.
Yeah, but there wasn't.
But there really
Can't
wasn't.
lie to you.
'Cause they
We
didn't
were
set us
told,
out
you
for
know,
it.
apply for work experience every week, and yeah, there was opportunities going out most weeks.
It was, like, the
However,
same people.
how likely was it that you would find one every week that, you know, you actually wanted to do,
But even then, it
and
has to
then
be accessible
apply
for
for,
you.
and then get it? And then obviously some people have particular boundaries of, you know, where is it, can they get to it, you know, is it accessible to whatever it is you need?
Because, like, obviously the school was nearing into London. Just kind of London. I don't live in London. It's a good like 30 minutes for me just to get into where the school was, and then like if the what's it called work experience is like the other side of London, I've got to get myself there and also work out like if it's all accessible for me. Like, it's a long way to go, but they would only give you things like in London, and I feel like when you do work experience in big companies, like, they're not going to remember you in 2 months' time and be like, oh yeah, you did work experience stuff, you were a great help. I feel like if they gave us opportunities for smaller companies, they might say like, oh, do you want a little job with us? Like,
Or like a little like
you'd get-
internship or
Yeah.
something like
like
that.
you'd get something out of it. But I feel like a lot of what we got from that school didn't really benefit us at all. Like,
I didn't get a single piece of work experience from
I
them.
didn't get a single one.
I had to make up some. My CV, I'm not gonna lie, is a questionable piece of work. There's some things on there that just, they're a massive
same.
twist of the truth. I did a football poster for your dad once.
Yeah.
There's a whole paragraph about that. On my CV.
Don't worry, I've got my dad's little thing. I've got a whole social media manager page
Yeah.
online.
I've got PR manager.
Yeah, I've even got the Samsung work we had to do on mine.
I actually put that on my... I've never used my CV, like my new one, but like I did put that on
I'm
there.
gonna put bartending on mine too, and I've done that
They-
for like a month.
They didn't prepare us for interviews because I did. So I felt like our school kind of promoted apprenticeships a lot. Like, that's kind of something they wanted us
It
to
was
do.
the route that you were pressured to go down.
Yeah.
They didn't exactly say no to uni, and obviously once COVID hit, they were a lot more understanding that people said apprenticeships were still available, but I'm telling you now, they were nowhere near as easy to get
There was
hold
so
of.
much competition.
It was
so
so
hard.
incredibly difficult to get apprenticeships when we were applying. I'm sure they're probably a bit easier now, but I applied for an internship with Apple, and you had to do like a little piece of work, and then they cut it down from like thousands of people into the top 100. So I got into the top 100. I don't know how, but I did. And then it got to the interview, and they were asking me all these questions, and it's like basic terminology of like marketing, because that was the role I didn't know. And this school kind of promoted us to be like really great in the industry,
to
but
know what it means.
I didn't know basic terminology. Like, I literally had to say in my interview with Apple, can you like confirm what that word means? Like, I looked like a complete mug because I didn't understand what they were talking about, and I didn't really have any experience, but they made you believe that you were this great like person and anyone would want to hire you, but that was not the case. We had equally as much experience and knowledge as someone just doing anything in a normal school. Like, I really did feel like I got mugged off at that school. I can't lie.
I feel like as well, when you apply for an apprenticeship, it's in your head that, you know, it's literally just people leaving year 13. It's not.
It's
It's
not.
You can apply for an apprenticeship at any age.
Yeah.
You could be 50 and applying for an apprenticeship. If that's what you want to do,
Yeah.
there's no rule saying you can't.
Typically, like, it is people our age. Like, all the people... Well, there's one girl on my team. She's, like, the year below me school-wise. And there are other people in the company. But there's a girl who started in February 2021. And she should be in, like, third year of uni now. And it's a level 3 apprenticeship. So she was a couple years behind. Like, it's not looked down upon. But once you're in a company, like, you can move around and do what you want. So I wouldn't... Like, I mean... I wouldn't recommend a 50-year-old applying to an apprenticeship. Apprenticeship salary is not going to get you very far at 50 years old.
Yeah. There's
no
nothing...
requirements. Like,
Yeah.
if you want to go down, if you want to start going to accounts when you're, I don't know, 30, you could. Like, I have every intention of moving into accounts and then finance after business admin, because that is the perks of an apprenticeship. You can move around, providing you're in a good company and they have the opportunities like ready for you.
See, with uni, it's you finish uni after your third or even fourth year. You finish uni, and it's the matter of finding a job. Because I know so many people that finished uni like this year or even last year, and one of the people that I know, she's my dad's friend's daughter. She applied to so many jobs and she didn't get a single one, and she's finished uni and she did media in uni.
Everyone says, you know, go to uni and everyone's going to want you.
And it's like you're going to fall into the perfect job and like the perfect company.
But
But it's not. You're going to end up going to so many different jobs before you get to the company you want to get to. Or even like, it is very much what Katie said. It's who you know, not what you know.
Yeah.
I don't want to sound like, I don't know what the word is, but like judgmental saying this, but I feel like I don't disagree with uni. Like, I still think it's like people going into like the NHS, for example.
Yeah.
Like, you need to go to uni and learn that. But I feel like a lot of people, for example, doing media or business or
Photography,
something.
actually. If you do photography, it's a waste of time.
Yeah. But
It's
like,
actually a waste of time.
once you finish third year, realistically, you're going to be going into a job that is the same level as what I'm on now. Probably, I know money isn't everything, but probably earning the similar amount to what I'm on now. But then, like, for example, when people finish uni, I'm going to be miles ahead.
Yeah.
And I don't have the debt behind it. But then it's if you were in the mindset to go into a full-time job once finishing college. Because, I mean, as you said today, there's still people in uni that just aren't mature enough.
Yeah.
And you really have to be mature to be in a job.
They're going into NHS.
Yeah, like, you've got to be mature and, like,
Yeah.
understanding of things and, like, bills and finance and, like, there's a lot you have to take into consideration. It's not like you're still in school. You suddenly go from leaving college, messing around the final few weeks of college, having a really fun summer. Next thing you know, you're an adult, and it's like, wow, like, it's a lot to take in overnight.
Everything
and I can't
goes
lie.
by so quickly.
My first day of my apprenticeship, I was nearly sick. I was so nervous.
I didn't even
like,
attend my first day of uni. I actually didn't. I didn't attend my first lecture.
It's nerve-wracking because it's like everyone's just going, because I was like the first person to go into this like new step, because I started like 23rd of August or something.
Yeah, you started early. You
So-
started a couple of days after your birthday.
Yeah, so I was supposed to start on the 16th, but then I had to delay it because of my birthday, and I was like, I can't work for a few days and then take time off for my 18th. So I started the week after the other apprentice on my team, and suddenly, like, I just woke up one day and I was like, I've just been celebrating my 18th birthday, and now, like, I'm in a full-time job, and I'm like, it's like the movies, like, you turn 18
Yeah.
and suddenly you're this
Yeah.
adult.
You
and
have all
it's
these
like,
responsibilities.
See,
And
that's why I'm glad my birthday's in September.
It was-
Sometimes.
it was so nerve-wracking.
I had that year to be an adult still.
Yeah.
because I had
a couple months.
I'm in the middle of you two. I'm April, so I still had a good few months once I turned 18. Well, it was like 2 months.
Yeah.
You're 20
Oh,
actually. That's
geez.
crazy.
You're only 20,
But I still had like
No.
a few months before leaving school to get used to, yeah, I'm 18. At that point, like, I only passed my driving test like a week before we left school. So once, I had a car to look
Yeah.
after, make sure, obviously I have to be a responsible, sensible driver.
Yeah.
And then I left school and then I was like, shit. And then I was sitting there doing my student finance and I was like...
I don't
I just did
feel
mine.
like I got like the opportunity to really be like an 18-year-old. Yeah, I can go out at the weekends if I want to, but like I'm not really like the clubbing type of girl. But it was just like suddenly I was this adult, and like obviously over summer like I kind of got left out a lot because I wasn't 18, so there wasn't much that I could do. And it's just a bit like it's a lot to take in, but you do adapt to it. And as much as like I did get really upset sometimes that I was left out or like I wasn't going to uni, because yeah, as Amelia said earlier, like FOMO, like I could sometimes I'll go on Snapchat and everybody's out and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm literally sat in bed stressing because I haven't gone to sleep yet in time for my 9 a.m. shift.
Hi guys, we actually didn't get around to filming an outro for this episode. However, I really enjoyed having Katie and Riya on the podcast talking about university, apprenticeships, kind of just growing up, leaving school, and kind of just those milestones that you start to reach after, you've left school and you're getting a little bit older. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you did, then feel free to follow the podcast and leave a rating if you'd like. I also will have my social medias and Katie's social media linked in the description, show note sort of thing, whatever you want to call it. I really enjoyed recording this episode and maybe I'll have them on again. If there's something you want, let me know.